A very special preserve of wild fruit today. It is so thick and rich and sticky and sour and tart and fruity. It's wild plum butter. And it's actually a lot different from making apple butter. Well, it's pretty similar, but basically, I'll run you through everything and you'll understand. Here I'm harvesting some wild plums, and I took my plums and I put them in the freezer, which is a good way to save them if you want to process them in the winter, if you're harvesting a lot of fruit. And I take the plums out of the freezer. You can do this with fresh plums too, and I'm just going to crush them. My friend Sam Thayer would stone them individually and then pass them through a food mill or like a china cap, and that works really, really well. But this is basically what you're going to do. You're going to crush the plums, either fresh or frozen. If they're fresh, I might warm them in the oven a little bit just to get the juices going. If you do them straight from raw, they're going to have the least amount of astringency. And we're just going to mix those mashed plums in a colander over a larger bowl, and all of the puree is going to go into the bowl. Now you're going to have a whole bunch of kind of mashed up skins and stuff, and there's extra goodness in there. So just add a little bit of water once you've done kind of the first run of making the puree, and you'll see here you're going to get basically a second smaller and slightly more watery batch of puree, but it's still good. And we're going to cook all the water out so it doesn't even matter anyway. But that's a way to get the most out of your plums. Now take your plum puree. This was actually frozen, and just put that into a large pot. And I'm going to use a hotel pan here. But what we're going to do, we're just going to add some maple syrup. And I'm going to add a good pinch of cinnamon. And then we just mix everything together. So this is basically just the same as my apple butter recipe, but this recipe, the plum puree includes more water because of how the plums are processed and just kind of the nature of the plum puree itself. So we put that into the widest pan that we have, and your cooking time is going to vary a little bit depending on your equipment. And now we just bake this in an oven until all of the water is removed. And you want to pay attention to the sides of the pan. You'll see mine got a little bit dark around the edges. I was playing a little fast and loose. Take a whisk and just kind of watch the edges. But you can see here, I'm going to want to pay attention to those edges so that it doesn't burn. And we're just taking this out of the oven, once an hour or every 45 minutes, and we're just whisking that kind of caramelized top back into the plum butter. And eventually what you're going to get is this thick, sticky, intensely fruity, sour, but not very astringent plum butter. And there's a little bit less yield than apple butter because of the water, but it's a fantastic thing to make with wild plums. Put it on toast, have some with roast chicken, make it into a sauce. It's really, really good. But personally, I just usually have it on a little bit of buttered toast. The full recipe is on my website. There's a link at the top of the video description for that. Thanks for watching.